It's come down to this. The two best words in all of sports. Game 7. Mavericks, Clippers. Who wins and moves on in the NBA playoffs? This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. The Mavericks and Clippers get ready to play their 13th playoff game over the last two seasons as Game 7 is set for Los Angeles today as the Mavericks look to try and win their first playoff series since 2011. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Clippers look to meet the expectations that they have set for themselves by getting past the Mavericks because this is a matchup that they wanted and set themselves up for. Yet the Mavericks have pushed them now to the brink of elimination as we get to Game 7. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard has been absolutely special in this series, including a Game 6 performance for the ages, going for 45 points, including 29 points in the second half. He scored as many points in the second half as Luka Doncic did in the entire ball game in Game number 6. That is how special Kawhi Leonard was in Game number 6. But this game has now come down to two teams who know each other extremely well. The Clippers have made the adjustments with their small ball lineups. At times, the Mavericks have made their adjustments by going bigger and bigger and bigger. Hello, Boban Marjanovic. And have tried to make the Clippers adjust to them. You've seen special performances from Luka Doncic in this series. You've seen tremendous supporting cast roles at times in this series from guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., who started the first two games of this series, 11 of 17 from the three-point line. You've seen on the other side for the Los Angeles Clippers, guys like Reggie Jackson step up constantly in this series, especially the way that he did in Game number 6 to help the Clippers get it back to Los Angeles. You've seen at times Paul George even play like the guy who calls himself Playoff P. You've seen everything in this series. So this doesn't come down to any more tricks, any more adjustments, any more clips that have been emptied out of the proverbial guns of each of these two teams. This is about these team superstars and which supporting cast will support their superstar to help them win a Game number 7. We have never seen a series like this where the road team in each of the first 6 games has won. Neither home team has been able to hold serve in this entire series. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks, who had a golden opportunity in Game 6 in front of their largest crowd of the season of over 18,000, just simply could not get it done, and that is in part because Kawhi Leonard wouldn't allow it to happen. The defense of the Dallas Mavericks improved in the paint. The Clippers only scored 26 points in the paint in Game number 6 after they had their wanting to get into the paint when they wanted to at will throughout this entire series. Meanwhile, for the Mavericks, their ability now to get better from the three-point line where they were absolutely dismal in Game number 6 is going to be crucial in this Game number 7. So again, these two teams know each other very well, and it's going to come down to whose superstar can somewhat be contained, because what has been proven throughout this series, neither one of these two teams can stop the other's superstar. I'm not going to throw a whole bunch of numbers at you. I'm not going to throw a whole bunch of statistics at you because you all know the numbers by now. This is about the will of two superstars and whose will overcome the other in Game number 7. Here is Luka Doncic talking about, look, it doesn't matter wherever, whenever, or what building we're in, you get up for Game 7. Here is Luka Doncic explaining that.
That's all right. We're still motivated. There's one more game left. I don't think why we shouldn't believe in it. So there's one more game, so we all believe. It's Game 7. It doesn't matter where you are. You got to left everything on the court. And that's it. It's Game 7.
So Luka Doncic in his very first Game 7 of his career. This is an opportunity to see something that we've never seen before. A Game 7 Luka Doncic. He's been the best player in this series, and he performs on the biggest stages under the brightest of lights and has done so ever since he has stepped foot in this league. The 22-year-old superstar who is on his team, well on his way to another first-team All-NBA selection, will now have an opportunity under the best two words in all of sports to showcase what has been an all-around game, a 3-level scorer who even in Game 6 improved a little bit defensively as he continued to be active in passing lanes and trying to get steals and create havoc on the defensive end. That is the Luka Doncic you have an opportunity to see today. The question is, will the rest of his teammates come along with him, Kristaps Porzingis? Kristaps Porzingis has been relegated to a 7'3", 3-and-D wing spacer who has not found himself getting the kinds of opportunities from the three-point line that he's accustomed to because of the way that the Clippers have decided to defend him, and more importantly, the small ball lineups that have virtually made him non-existent in this series. It's going to be incumbent on Kristaps Porzingis to find a way to affect the game the way that he did on the defensive end in game number 6, to create opportunities for himself by moving without the basketball in game number 7. Kristaps Porzingis is going to have to show up large, obviously, in game 7. You know that Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, who caught fire in the third quarter going 3 of 3 from the three-point line, is going to have to shoot the ball well from the three-point line. Jalen Brunson is going to have to be better in game 7. You know all the cast of characters that have got to be better. But for the Mavericks to win today's game, the unicorn has got to show up. I asked Kristaps Porzingis after game 6 about the looks that he got, but more importantly, the mentality of going into his first game 7 of his career and what that mentality should be for this Mavericks team, and more importantly, for himself. Here's what Kristaps Porzingis had to say.
Kevin Gray, 105 through the fan. KP obviously tried to affect the game on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, what did you see in terms of some of your looks, and what's your mentality for this team going into game 7 on Sunday?
Yeah, as you said, just trying to make an impact in the things that I can on the defensive end, and helping the team in whatever way I can. The shots that I got were good looks, decent looks. Yeah, not, it is what it is. And Sunday, yeah, it's gonna be a war. So we're gonna be prepared.
So Kristaps Porzingis saying, look, we are ready for a war. And that's exactly what I expect that you will get in today's game number 7 between the Mavericks and the Clippers. The number 1 3-point shooting team in all of the NBA were the Clippers during the regular season. The Mavericks were a team that found themselves with one of the best road records in all of the NBA at 21-15. This is a Mavericks team who is clearly unafraid to walk into Staples Center and win ball games. They are 5-0 since 2011 inside of Staples Center. They are not afraid to walk into the building where the Clippers and or Lakers play and beat them. They have a superstar who is not afraid of failure in Luka Doncic. He has played against crowds. He has played against teams in hostile environments overseas. Now he has an opportunity in front of a bunch of cardboards to try and put on an absolute show inside of Los Angeles. Meanwhile, all the pressure sits on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. The massive expectations for this basketball team coming into the season were virtually championship or bust. Kawhi Leonard showed why the Kawhi bot is a real thing, because he reprogrammed and rebooted himself, and he put on an absolutely epic show, especially in the second half. From the 7:03 mark on of the second quarter in Game 6, he scored 42 of the Clippers' 68 points. It was a plus 13. He was not allowing the Clippers to lose Game 6 on the road. And good for him, because he responded to the virtuoso performance that Luka Doncic had in Game 5, where he scored or assisted on 31 of the 37 baskets by the Mavericks in that Game 5 road win. The Mavericks know how to respond well. After getting blown out earlier in this series, they responded by going back to Los Angeles and winning Game number 5 after getting handled and massacred in Game number 4. This is an opportunity for Rick Carlisle, who is 5-2 in closeout situations, to be able to help close out the Los Angeles Clippers, this time on the road. It will be interesting to see how the role players respond, because we know what we're going to get from Kawhi Leonard and what we're going to get from Luka Doncic in this particular game. Which role player shows up? Which Tim Hardaway Jr. are you going to find today in game number 7? Which Paul George is going to show up for the Los Angeles Clippers? Will Reggie Jackson continue to be a sniper from the three-point line? Will guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, who have been at times tremendous defensively in this series, find the offensive stroke needed to support Luka Doncic on the offensive end? Who is going to be that X factor that we're not talking about right now that steps up and has a massive game in Game 7? All of those things We will find out today because, look, all the numbers that have been piled up throughout this series, you can throw them all out the window. They don't matter now. It's about the will of these two teams and who wants it more and who wants to face the Utah Jazz in the second round of these NBA playoffs. Should be a fun day in Los Angeles. If you're a fan of basketball, if you're a fan of these two teams, obviously, or just a sports fan in general, it doesn't get much better than this. Game 7, Mavericks, Clippers in Staples Center. The winner moves on. The loser goes home. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.